we had like a wedding in Mallorca, so we spent at least 2 weeks there. Or we went to Sweden for a conference, so we took her there, and we also tried to also bring our second shooting nanny at the beginning. So we hired her a year and a half before we got Malia.
Wait, say that again. Second shooter
second,
slash nanny.
Second shooting nanny.
Yes, it was perfect.
That is perfect.
Shutter Stories, a Canon podcast.
Hi, I'm Ilvinio Kikchin, a photojournalist and Canon ambassador, and welcome to the latest episode of Shutter Stories, a Canon podcast. Few specialisms in this industry demand as much intimacy, trust and coordination as capturing the most significant day of a couple's life. And who better to navigate these special moments than shooters who are married? In this episode, I'm joined by Carmen and Ingo Leitner, a husband and wife team who have been together for over 20 years and have been shooting destination weddings together since 2006. Hi, Carmen and Ingo. Welcome to this episode of Shutter Stories.
Hi.
Thank you very much for having us.
Yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to this episode. I always love it when couples work together in this crazy industry. So I'm very curious how you are doing that. But before we get into all of that, I would love it if you could kind of describe your careers and introduce yourselves. Carmen, why do you go first?
Hi, we are Carmen and Ingo. We are together since more than 20 years now. We are married since 10 years and we started the whole business. I think we were shooting our first wedding in 2006 and we totally fell in love. So we came into this whole industry because we just liked it. We liked to take photos, and it was kind of weird, magical, fun, and like everything in once. And so we started the whole thing together.
You started then 2006, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the same year I started photography.
Oh, great.
Awesome.
Cool.
As a news photographer. And for me, it was actually the time where I was sometimes photographing friends' weddings, even though I wanted to be a photojournalist. But to be very honest, even though the hard news can be very nerve-wracking, I found the weddings that I photographed, I've only done it 3 times. My nerves just couldn't take it. I was so afraid to miss the moment. I don't know how you guys handle it. Do you remember those first weddings and the way you were feeling then? Can you describe that maybe?
I think that's actually what we really love about the whole thing. It's very we worked in different jobs and it was like always doing the same stuff every day. And
you do food photography, you do fashion photography, you are actually in landscape, maybe a little bit architecture, and
you don't know the light, you don't know the location, you don't know the people, you don't know with whom you're gonna work with. So it's a lot of unknown stuff, and we really love that about it, and still loving. So we always try to, or we avoid to being at one location 3 or 4 times because we don't like it to be safe and have the safe shots and stuff like that. We always like to be creative and getting something out of the unknown, of this, like a little bit of a thrill.
Yeah. It's like a thrill seekers. It's interesting, right? Because when I was in the beginning of my career shooting news, I was basically doing that for myself and then selling it to newspapers. But when I started getting assignments and bigger ones, I remember, it was about 10 years into my career, I started getting nervous because I realized, this is a big client and they pay a lot of money and it has to be good now. And I know that feeling.
It's always in the head, when I can remember my first important getting ready. It was all about fashion and really cool. So I was like, oh my God, and it was my first ever alone getting ready. So I was getting in there and I was like, oh my God, okay, she knows photographers, she knows how it should look like, and I was really nervous, but I also really loved it. Luckily it turns out very good.
Yeah, and he was director of Sky.
So
back then different name, but there was a lot of pressure on that wedding actually.
True.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. I'm very curious how you kind of work as a couple. Can you describe a normal wedding day? Well, whatever normal is, but can you describe a day in the life as a wedding photographer, as a couple?
As you mentioned correctly, that's exactly. I shot 1 or 2 getting readies of a bride, but that was like before the whole thing took off. So that was like, I think, and that's one major advantage of our working together, that we can do this gender separated, or mostly if it's not a gay wedding, gender separated getting ready parts, because they are mostly very intimate. They are very, maybe calm down. They can be very rough as well, with like 12 bridesmaids and 12 groomsmen or something like that. But mostly they are, people tend to be nervous, and you're getting close with them over the time. So that's basically something we really always sold at the very beginning, because it wasn't typical to come 2 people to a wedding to shoot the full day when we started it. So we explained actually the whole coverage stuff was new in this area completely. Normally they booked a photographer for 2 hours, like church or something, or ceremony, and then like group shots and portraits done. So, but we did always offer full day coverages, so 8 hours at minimum. And that was special. Then,
interesting.
So that we came, 2 of us was special, and so that we stood out of like the crowd, so to say. That was pretty something at the beginning. And then whenever we are at the same place, after all those years, everybody knows what's his or her part to do.
Yeah, we know what we do. Like, so we start at the getting ready. He's with the groom, I'm with the bride. Then we meet again. When they meet, it doesn't matter if they have the first look or in a church or whatever. And then, sure, we are together again, but in church or at the ceremony, we know which part we do. So I cover always more the front, like really close to the couple. Ingo is moving a little bit, like from behind, from like far away from the scene, or from the church, from upstairs. So we try to move a little bit. Now we know already who is doing whatever he's doing. So we have a good plan, a rough plan. Like I do all these decoration stuff and the room and stuff like that. And Ingo is covering. Ingo is more the group shot guy. I'm the smaller group shot I do as well, but I don't like the huge group shot. Ingo is doing is very good. So we both have their like the advantages, and we know how to handle it.
Yeah, and then over the day, mostly it's like really working alongside, and still, I'm looking at her, she looking at me, she knows what lens I have, so what I see, which angle I see, and when camera points that direction, she exactly knows how the picture looks, and vice versa. So there's a lot of, I don't have to take this shot as well, or I can take a different lens or something like that, and there's pretty much really no interference over the day between us. And also if she thinks I'm in her shot, she hides somewhere or something, and vice versa. So that's pretty cool, working over this long time period together. So not every other day another second shooter, you have to tell the same story how to behave on the wedding. And
exactly.
Yeah.
So this to me sounds there are only advantages of working together. Are there also any challenges?
Oh, sure.
To work with your partner?
Yes, sure.
Oh, tell me all about it.
No, but sure, we in general, we are a couple as well. We are parents, we are a couple, we are business partners, so we have potential for fighting, but yeah, that's in like in every part of our life. But we have to deal with some stuff, and what we now can really, or what we are capable of, that we can talk a lot. So we know if we have a problem, we sit down and we talk about this stuff. If it's private or if it's work, it doesn't matter, because it's like really, it's just one life, there's like this work-life balance stuff, but for us, it's just life, work is our life, and the life is our life, and our kid is our life. So everything belongs to our life. So we have to talk about this stuff. And we have to figure it out. So what we really figured out from the beginning is that we have to separate, like everybody is a CEO and everybody has their own work part. So that nobody is like I do all the editing. When Ingo would say like, oh, can you change that. This is a little bit too dark, or this is a little bit. Or can you crop that again, or whatever? Then we would fight, because I was like, okay, I did this. Why you just like come into my job? So we try to really have different job descriptions, and we stick to that. So sometimes we give opinions, or we give tips, or whatever, but we never like really fighting about our job. That's my job, and that's his job, and this is very important for us. Otherwise, we would have more difficulties probably.
Yeah, as we are both very strong.
This sounds very smart to make the division. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
We're both very strong characters, so that's to say the least. So we are fight. If we fight, it's fire. And, so everybody of us is like alpha. So that's difficult, and the more important it is to really have not one giving the direction stuff. So both have their parts, as Carmen mentioned already. With my part, with being more the business part, also like the whole quoting, putting quotes together and
emails,
and like really selling the work and stuff like that. So that's more my part. Whereas I'm not really diving into editing, for example. Carmen is like the style of our images or something like that. So and she's even the more creative part of I'm like the technical guy and stuff. So and that's a good separation of the job descriptions.
Yeah,
and that also makes it easier to tell each other or to ask each other things like, oh, can you change this edit a little bit? Can you crop a little bit further? Or I can imagine if the roles are clear, that definitely must help a lot.
Yes.
Well, on if you think it on like a full work, the client doesn't know if that's cropped or not, or whatever, or if that's a little bit brighter or darker, or is the vignette in there or grain or whatever. They don't know. So why should we argue about that topic overall? To make it more difficult for us. Nobody knows outside of our offices. So,
yes.
Yeah. This sounds very familiar. Sometimes I think, wow, I'm spending hours on an image and I'm making the crop 1 millimeter to the left or 2 millimeter to the right. And I sometimes think to myself, no one knows, like literally no client will know. But here I am spending so much time on it.
Like jumping forward and back to like what looks better.
Yes.
It's like nobody will ever know the second photo.
I know, before, after, which one's better now? Yeah, this sounds so familiar. And how do you now kind of balance the personal and the professional life? Because I can imagine the one challenge of working together is the fact that you're also, the time you work together is always the same time. So your time off is, exactly. How do you do that?
Actually, we enjoy work and we enjoy private life. So it's nothing like, oh my God, we can't talk about work now because we in our private life. So we also enjoy that.
See.
So we have conversations about work in our private life, and we have sometimes private conversations in our work in our office. So it's you cannot separate it. It's just one life, and we enjoy talking about this stuff. So it's for us it's totally clear, and we wouldn't say like, okay, now it's 8:00 in the evening, we cannot talk about work anymore. That doesn't work for us. So it was always our life. Like we started it because of passion, because we really liked it, and we still really like it. We tried always to change our whole business in the direction we still like it. Because if you're stuck to something, then probably you get to the problem that you don't like it anymore, or you feel stuck or whatever. So if you feel like that, we always try to change it and to having a new feeling of, let's do that. And then we talk about this again, really, or we enjoy to talk about that. So I think that's one big point.
And for us, always the bigger problem was if we're not spending much time together. So also like this has been like something at the beginning as well. Whenever we were separated, some cities, different cities or something, even prior to the photography part, we were fighting more than we were ever when we were together. So it's most likely now that we don't think so much about spending time with each other. It is there, but the very important part is everybody has his own freedom. We really love to have our own time and spending me time and stuff like that. So, and no one is jealous on the other one because of stuff like that happening. So
Yeah, I think we try to make us self happy, so we are happy in a relationship and happy in our work life.
yeah.
So how has this changed? You have a daughter, a 10-year-old daughter. How has all of this changed throughout those last 10 years?
Wow, our whole business, our whole life sure changed because a child sure changed everything. But it was really our a dream from us. So we really love to have a child. So we thought about how we do that. We are self-employed and we're traveling a lot, and so we really we made a plan to have her. And how we do that, and how we gonna work this out, and how we still going to travel. And what I can say is it was very beautiful, but it was very challenging as well. So because I was like breastfeeding and shooting, and we went to Mallorca. She was like 6 months old, and I was like breastfeeding, and then changed it to our assistant. Then I was driving with my car through the Olive Garden and to the wedding bag. So it was really crazy times, and I had a really lack of sleep all the time, or we both. We were fighting a lot as well, so we was really like everybody else when you have small kids. But it was also very beautiful. So it was a weird time, and then we started to focus again, or it was like, okay, what do we want to do? I would want to travel that much in our future. Are we probably looking for other stuff? What are we doing? How we can build our business around the family so that we can work this somehow out?
Yeah, at the beginning, we weren't, stuck to any kindergarten, school, whatever. So we could be freely traveling with her, and we spent we had a wedding in Mallorca, so we spent at least 2 weeks there. Or we went to Sweden for a conference, so we took her there, and we also tried to also bring our second shooting nanny at the beginning. So we hired her a year and a half before we got Malia.
Wait, say that again. Second shooter / nanny.
Second shooting nanny.
Yes, it was perfect.
So she was 20 years back then.
That is perfect.
Yes.
Yeah, she was 20 years back then, and hired with us, I think, over 10 years ago. And she was helping in the office, and she, really, really smart woman, and helping us a lot on every corner. But the plan was, of course, if we once get pregnant and we have the whole baby dream coming to life, she could take care of Malia while Carmen is still shooting.
And when it was time to breastfeed, every 1.5 hours, I went back. I did the breastfeeding. She was shooting then instead of me. And then we changed again, and I was and then I went back to the wedding. So it was really a changing back and forth.
Wow. And were you, it just sounds hectic and beautiful and lovely and everything at the same time. I'm curious, did you tell the clients, or were they just thought they were getting 3 shooters and one of them disappeared once in a while?
No, we were very clear in the communication with that. Also within the year, what Carmen said, we planned everything out. So the plan was that 3 or 4 weeks after the last wedding, which was booked at this time, we are getting the baby. So that was the plan. So we started to make it happen after that. She came 4 weeks earlier, but we had 4 or 5 weddings with a complete backup organized. So people in our, let's say, level league could cover the full wedding without us being there, because we were in a much more important place in the hospital or something. And we had three weddings where we had to take this chance. So one was where Carmen had to be already laying down, and then the weekend where our daughter really came was I was just leaving home and then arrived at the venue 3 hours away.
Then I called him and said okay, I'm going to hospital now, and he was like, no. So he went back the whole way.
But the real thing is that that we were really the professionalism in this point is how you are planning this upfront to not have any surprise. Oh, the baby comes 5 weeks earlier. So this is the difference
Yes.
between someone grabbing a camera and liking to shoot weddings versus you are working on a professional high level. So everything, there's nothing which occurs probably these days which is surprising us or isn't planned out. So that's why you also pay a price for if you hire someone like that.
Yeah, but that's a very important difference, right?
Yeah.
It's not only about photography. I think in this industry, I teach a lot of workshops, and most of the students always ask about pictures, how to take pictures, and I of course talk about that a lot too. But I think the business side is one of the main things to talk about. It's a lot of students don't make it out there because they don't know how to make the money to keep going.
Absolutely.
We
probably all come from the same point that we want to be creative, that we love to take photographs and like everything behind the creative stuff. But I think a lot of people don't know. That's what you said, like how you work this out for a living. That you can do this for a longer time, not just for 1 year and going back to the normal business. And this is very important, very, very important.
Yeah, it is. It's the only way to keep going. You have to be, sending invoices. You have to. I mean, it's just a whole lot more than just taking the pictures. Sometimes I think, unfortunately, so, but
absolutely.
Then again,
I love the creative side.
Yeah, Then again, that's part of the business to make you more free time to shoot and do what you really love versus doing the whole bookkeeping and invoices and stuff. Someone else can do that.
Exactly.
So we try to really not do stuff where we first of all don't want to do it, and second of all is like where other people are more professional or better hired or like have employees doing that work. We don't have to do personally. Yeah.
Very true. There is a tipping point though, right? I remember in the beginning of my career, I literally didn't have the money to hire someone to do all the admin for me. I now luckily do, but I remember that tipping point where I was like, okay, this is now the moment where I need to hire someone who can do it better and quicker.
Absolutely.
So let's move to the kit you guys are using. I actually saw the picture, and I would advise everyone to go look at your ambassador profile on the Canon website. I saw your kit, and I was thinking, wow, you use a lot of things.
This reminds me that I have to update that image because I know when it was taken, and I think we have a complete different camera setup right now. Well, we're shooting Canon R system since the R6 and R5 came out. So we switched completely from the EF system to the RF system. Every time Canon brought a new camera in the level we were shooting, we were immediately getting 2 pieces of that one all over the years. Like since starting professionally, like this was 5D Mark II was like the first full camera, and ever since then we were like immediately updating to new camera bodies, so Mark III, Mark IV, and then played with the R system, but R6, R5 were the ones we were fully switching, including lenses and stuff like that. So we're always investing in like being not like should I buy, should I not, because it always had a huge impression on the work we did for photos and for videos. So the features coming with every camera were significantly related to better images and better quality of work what we did. So, and why not investing a couple of €1,000, because the other cameras you can still second sell them, something like that. So that wasn't a second thought. We really upgraded every time. And so now we have like R6 Mark II. One here is like recording. Then we have 2 of them, R5 and R3 we're in R3, and there's like 4 bodies. Yeah, that's what we have right now. Yeah.
Okay, so you each use 2 with 2 different sets of lenses, or what kind of lenses are you using?
Everything from 24 to, I think the longest lens now is 135.
Yeah, for weddings I would be very like happy with 50, 35 and 24 actually. That would be my to go with, and that's fine.
And we got the 2870 to f2 basically to shoot video, and also here for this studio setup that's actually on the R6 right now. with to do a lot of video stuff with that, because the 2.0 is pretty nice, and we are flexible with the angle, and we can really go a little bit of zoom and stuff, but we mostly because it's 2.0, so we don't like shooting with something 2.8 or darker. So we really tend to work wide open, which is great for the RF system. We can shoot 1.2 a group shot, and everything is tech sharp. So that's I love it.
Yeah, even if they're walking and moving, it's 1.2. It's extremely accurate and very good.
Focus is in eyes and everything tech sharp if we want it to be. Nowadays we tend to
even
make
with
it less
bigger
sharp.
groups, with like with like 3 lines of people.
Well, that depends. If you're going to a longer lens,
Close
then
enough.
if like the 85.2 and focus on like maybe
The middle.
the middle person, and then maybe then we might go to 2.0 or something. But then if you do the depth of field calculation, depends on how far you're away, and you will see there's like with 1.2 there's like 75 centimeters of sharpness in there in this area. So it's mostly people think 1.2 is like shallow depth of field, but that depends on the distance you're shooting. So
of course.
and everything is possible then. But we love it because the look is amazing.
Yeah, it's a great lens.
Is it?
Oh, but this is interesting for me that it's from 1.2 to 2 that you can actually do group shots like that. It's amazing. That whole new system is amazing to me, to be honest.
Absolutely.
It's a big change. It is, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. How much video do you shoot? Because I would love to know more about how you do the hybrid shooting. Is one of you doing video, or you both do video?
We cover a lot of weddings, so a lot of videos at weddings. So at least how many percent?
I would say
75% of our weddings are booking video as well. We promote it a lot because it's booked anyway, so we don't show it a lot. So sometimes we really enjoy to have a wedding with just photos, because it's relaxing.
Yes.
Because somehow it's we really enjoy. We really love to do videos and photos, and we both do videos and photos because when we are separated at the getting ready, I'm at the bride's place and Ingo is at the groom's place. Then we're doing both video and photo. And if we meet again, like at the first look, for example, then I know we look at each other. It depends on the angle where we are standing or something. Then Ingo would do probably more the video stuff, and I would probably go for the photos. And that's mostly the whole day. If we are shooting both the same situation, Ingo is more into video and I do more the photos, or I cover more the photos. I would say it's like that. Yeah. And we really like it, but it's for sure a little bit more challenging because normally if you do a photo and it's good, it's like, okay, I'm done. But then it's like, okay, the photo is it's okay. Okay, let's change to video. Okay, let's change to photo again. Let's change to video. So it's you're very busy the whole day, and you have to think different if you do video and photo. So it lifts the whole thing lifts from different things. So it's a little bit more challenging, but we also really like it. But afterwards, it's exhausting. So it's after 12 hours of working, you fall into your bed and you sleep very, very tight.
I notice it with doing video. It's a lot more things to think about. Feels like the audio, just the angle. For me, I love it too, but I always notice when I'm filming and combining video and photography, it's like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, I'm really, at the end of the day, I'm exhausted, but it's beautiful.
I mean, it's a second job on the day, but what it's also a big advantage of the whole thing, and that's why we actually started it, not just to tell or cover the whole thing with a second media channel to tell the story, but also in the end of the day, the value for bride and groom, for whoever you're shooting photos and videos, is really, really amazing and great and big and can't be like brought into a value of money. But on the other hand, you get more money with the same client. So
yes.
it's a big step when we started offering it, and that's been 2009 when we started it. then
Wow,
it was
early.
like, yeah, we were started like right when Vincent made his Riverie movie. We purchased a 5D Mark II and then started experimenting with video, and then ever since we offered it, and we were some of the first people doing this hybrid video and photo offers. And then again, let's say starting wedding photos at 4,000 euros, at least 2,000 or 3,000 is another for the video. So you end up with the same client on almost double the pricing with your turnover.
Yeah.
So, and now we are on complete different levels than back then. So it's been like really a big helper for the business as well. You have one client, but with this client you deliver more value, and thus you get more money.
Yeah, it's a huge advantage. That's so true.
Yes.
Can you maybe describe what it's like for you to switch from taking pictures to video within the one camera? Is it easy, or is it, can you describe it?
Well, right now, we're really talking different cameras than we did with like 2009 5D Mark II. So these cameras evolved over the years very, very well for not only photography, but also for video. Back then, it was really, like challenging to jump back and forth with the 5D Mark II, for example, also with focusing and everything. So that was quite a thing to learn and get your hands on. But later on, and right now, it's really easy. Both cameras have built in like video and photo features separately, which is easy to work around. What comes out of these cameras is just like insane. And if you work with it a lot, it's no problem at all to really handle it very quickly back and forth.
And what also really changed in the years when we started this whole thing, we tried to just doing handheld stuff. Then we had a little bit of era of Ingo taking everything with him and to a slider and this and that. So like a whole trolley
That's a lot
of stuff. But it was not practicable for us as wedding photographers. So we switched to went back to, okay, let's just doing handheld stuff. And now it is really changed because it's very easy with this stabilizer and it's very good quality. So it's very easy to just filming out of your hand and just moving a little bit of yourself. So that's very cool. And it's even because I'm not a technical guy. So it's even easy for me. So it's really like changing from a photo to video. It's very easy, and we always do really small snippets. So we have the wedding shoes. We're doing a picture, like looking if everything is right, the light is right. So we're doing a picture. If the picture is cool, we just switch to a video mode and just probably leaning a little bit from right to the left, from left to the right, and filming a little bit, and that's it. And then we stop again. So we have always really small snippets. Because our film, our turnout is then just like really mostly fast, highlight trailer, fast edited highlight trailer. So you don't need a lot of like long shots where you need stabilizers or whatever.
We don't have any other equipment rather than for audio or ND filters or something like that. So that's all. We don't work with like monoports or tripods anymore. So that our system changed that completely. So we're traveling a lot lighter.
So you work very, very light since the
Absolutely.
R system.
Yes.
No tripod, no monopod.
No,
It's
nothing.
Amazing. Yeah, and the R6 is super light. I mean, they're both very light cameras, let's be honest. But the R6 is it's super light.
Yeah,
It's amazing that everything is into this one small
small
camera.
That's very cool. And we always try to fade into the whole wedding community, to the whole people. So we always try not to like being we are the photographers. Hey, look at us. So we try to blend in, or is how to say that. And if you have a lot of stuff with you and trolley and whatever and stuff on your like a T-shirt where the brand name is on it, and then a lot of gear, then a lot of people just identify you as a wedding photographer. It's not the same, so it's not feeling like you're into the whole wedding and you're not blending. So that's why we try to avoid all this fancy stuff. So we try to keep it small.
I think that's a very good advice, actually, because I think the smaller the equipment or kind of the less noticeable you are, the closer you can get, which
Absolutely.
really brings you better images.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially if you have like, if back then you would have need like some stabilizers, glide cams or something like that, or whatever, you choose to have your camera stabilized. But then it's hard to take a quick vertical portrait oriented photo. So
Yes.
that's like a big challenge. So I rather prefer a little bit of a shaking camera and maybe doing a little bit more stabilization in post if needed, versus I can quickly snap a vertical portrait out of nothing and not going to remove the stabilizer or whatsoever, the gimbal. So that's a super advantage of traveling light and also have the IBIS and stabilization with you.
So could you guys give us some of your top tips when shooting hybrid? And maybe Ingo, you go first.
Well, there are a lot of tips actually. We have online courses about shooting video with photos alongside. But one thing is what you experience shooting it is that the photo buffer might take a couple of half a second or even a second off your video starting point. So whenever you have to decide of a situation which is quick, do video first and then switch to photo, because you can immediately shoot along with photos. So that like saves you like the time in between. Otherwise the photos are like buffered a little bit and then you can't start video. So that's like a very deep actually tip you will notice once you're shooting it, but better you start off right. And the second one is like on really, I tend to have two bodies on my hand when shooting video as well. I did different back in the years, but now with this R system, I love like the R6 and the R5, R6 Mark II actually, and the R5 to have. And I have like the 28 to 70.2 with an ND filter on it to shoot like through a very fast moving situation, just let the camera run. So I'm shooting with one camera, I'm shooting images, drop it, take the other one and record it, but leave it on record, drop it again, shooting photos. So I can switch very, very quickly back and forth with one like having the video feature on and the other one the photo feature. So that's like, yeah, I started doing that a couple of years ago with the R system actually.
Huh. Cool.
And
Okay.
my tip
I'm
is
going to remember that one too.
my tip is more on the human side, I would say, not the technical thing. A lot of people talk with us that they would love to do that, but they are so scared if they can do that, or they are not sure if they can do it alone, and they're afraid of like doing new stuff. And what I can say is just do it, just try it. And what we started is also really like filming everything else. So we have a lot of videos from us at home, from our trips when we go on holidays. So we try to practice when we are in a private in our private room. So it's also good to have these little snippets of your family life, and we always do fusions of our family. So it's really it's actually easier than you think. And you just have to start the first step, you have to go the first step and you will see, okay, it's not that hard and it's really cool. And then it's a win-win for you, for your client, for your pocket, for your money, for everything. And so it's you just have to do the first step.
I want to add something here.
Yes.
Don't think the video you are producing needs to be a Hollywood trailer. It needs to be something that those people can watch in 20, 30 years. Instead of not having anything. So they hired you, not 5 videographers there and you adding something. It's you shooting a video in every moment, like babies, maternity, whatever is your genre. It's just not only weddings, but you don't have to develop any Oscar nomination highlight trailer. But what you get is like really deep emotions of people maybe not around anymore when they watch it the next time, so and have their voices and have their emotions, slow motion, laughing, laughters, whatever. So there's more than just thinking, should I? It's not good enough. So you will always be the one video they actually have.
Yeah, these are memories, and they are priceless actually.
Yeah. And it's easy work with the Canon cameras.
What advice would you have to new photographers starting out in this business, wedding photographers?
We all come from mostly come from a creative point, and we forget about the business part, that you have to sell yourself or have yourself to sell your pictures and to get out there, to get new clients and to earn money. And it's nothing bad about it. It's because it always feels like if you're creative, you don't need to get money because you like to do it. It's like, can you do it for free because you love to be photographer? It's like, oh my God, but I want to live as well. So that you should start, even if in the beginning, get used to that you are now a business owner and you have to do all this stuff behind the whole things. And if you're not used to that, and if you feel you can't do this, then work on it.
I would say really one tip is like be patient. The wedding industry is pretty, let's say, slow because you get booked like now for next year. And we had like a lot of weddings. They were like 2.5 years in advance. So first of all, pricing is a complete change. So have that in mind over 2 years. And like everything is changing in 2.5 years. So and also patience is important because we have a lot of people. I'm starting with photography now, and I will like next year in March it needs to be this and that. And that's something you can achieve, but a lot of people are willing to put in the work to make this happen, because it's not like rich tomorrow. It's ever been follow the passion and the money will follow you, instead of I'm doing it because of the money. So that won't last long. You know, we were not around because we were there for the money. We were there for the passion, for the art. I'm not so much for the art, but Carmen. And like really that it was a chance to be self-employed with something we really love. So that was the point. We wanted to be self-employed and free of our own time. And that was the tool, and the money followed because we loved doing it. So that's actually the key thing.
And one more thing is don't compare yourself to others. And it's totally okay that you're different or doing different stuff. And if everybody stands in one corner of the room, it's okay to be on the other side, because probably you're there alone, but you find your own clients. So it's really good to be unique, be yourself, and don't be like everybody else.
Yeah, be yourself. That's beautiful. Thanks so much to both of you.
Thank you.
I really loved the last part. It was just not even one advice, but I think I counted 11 at least advices.
I'm sorry.
So thanks for ending with that. That was beautiful. And I wish you a lot of beautiful shoots ahead. Beautiful weddings to photograph.
Thank you so much.
And thanks for sharing all this advice.
David, thanks so much for talking with us. It was a pleasure.
Thank you for having us.
You've been listening to Shutter Stories, a Canon podcast. Thank you to my guests Carmen and Ingo Leitner, and to you for listening. Please come back next month for another episode, and in the meantime, don't be a stranger. There are loads of brilliant ways to stay in contact with us in the show notes. We love to hear your feedback, so rate the show 5 stars on the platform you listen on and spread the word with all your favorite photographers, filmmakers, and content creators. Until next time.
Shutter Stories, a Canon podcast.